now. It's just about to hit 12 o'clock. Hello, MCM!
Hello!
Oh, that's what we want. How we do? We having a good day?
Yes!
Yeah, now just before we do our next panel, because I was going to say I've got 30 seconds, I did such a long introduction, it's just turned 12. So I'm going to be nice. Who wants some free stuff quickly?
Yeah!
You know what, because I love your hair, and I'm a bit jealous. Yours is fake, I know that's real. Yeah? It's totally real. Yeah? It is real, isn't it?
It's on.
You lie! Give me that back, you lie! Who else thinks it's oh, I love this. Not you, Luigi. No one likes you, Luigi. Oh, come on, who actually likes Luigi?
I do.
That guy?
I do.
Don't like you, don't like you. Yeah, you get nouts. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready for our Larp panel?
Yes!
I hope you're ready, you're doing it.
I'm not fucking ready.
Language!
Sorry,
He
not
said,
ready.
oh dear, he's not ready. If anyone asks, that's what he said. You know what, I'm just going to shut up and go. There you go.
We're not allowed to swear.
Thank you, CJ. Round of applause, CJ. Woo! Nice Jersey. Hello, everybody.
Hello!
Larp 101.
Woo!
So, all nerds here. We're all good. We're doing well. So, this is basically going to be a nice intro. I'm going to stay stood up because it's just painful I have to sit down and see because I'm quite fat. So basically, this is just going to be a nice introduction to LARP. This is how you can get involved in LARP. This is what you need for LARP. This is what you can do to get into LARP. I've said it twice, we've done well. Anything else anyone wants to add on this?
Here's some cool stuff you can do at now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that. So this is also stuff that you can do at LARP as well. We've got some LARP weapons here. We've got people who are wearing things from various LARPs. Life is a LARP. We'll go with that. So yeah, so any questions at any time, raise your hands. We will field all questions, no matter how dumb, because there is no dumb questions. Just dumb people. Thank you, thank you. So the majority of us all play in Empire LARP, which is run by Profound Decisions, but we all do various different LARPs as well. There are LARPs that cover a very broad spectrum of things, from pirates. So, can we talk about pirate LARP?
Well, you'll hear me okay? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So there's a group called iLARP. It's basically a bunch of different systems covering pirate LARPs, cowboy LARPs, Roman LARPs. Just trying to look for inspiration here.
Vampire LARPs.
Vampire LARPs. Well, they don't do vampire LARPs at iLARP, but there's all sorts out
Not
there.
an iLARP, no. But Vampire LARPs they do.
There's all sorts of LARPs out there, so whoever sort of tickles your pickle, gets you going. There's, I think the most interesting one I've been to at the moment has been the Roman LARP, because you'd think it'd be quite reenactment-y and stuff like that, but there's a hell of a lot of silliness going on in there.
Yeah, there's loads of different ones that you can do out there. About you, Leah, do you do any other styles?
Oh boy.
Ooh.
So I also do iLARP and Empire, so that's the kind of smaller weekend LARPs, big fest LARPs, and then I do and I used to run the local linear LARP at Oxford, the Society game at Oxford, and parlour LARPs, which are smaller, usually inside, based on social and scheming and politics. Yeah, I think those are like the different flavours of LARP you can go to, and I do a lot of them.
Yes, you really do. And then we have Ginny, who runs or is setting up events for LARPs as well. You want to talk about that?
Sure, if you want. So at the moment, there's like 3 different LARPs that I'm kicking around with. One is like Agatha Christie crossed with Cthulhu, because everyone loves murder mysteries where the mystery is sometimes it's actually a monster. So you've got weekend-long murder mysteries and with strange scenarios and God knows what's going on. You can have giant masquerade balls with 300 people in a museum who've taken over for the weekend. You can have futuristic drama. You can have 40k space marines stomping around and destroying aliens, which is super cool. It's basically like, what kind of stuff do you want to do? Who do you want to be?
Yeah, I think my favourite one-shot I've ever played, we were all bees in a hive, and we had to fight wasps and keep the honey flowing. As the whole game, we were bees.
A friend of mine played evil Santa Claus and his elves who are going to be uprising against him. Which is cool. Kid you not.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm at a loss for that. Bees.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Okay. So the big thing that because I was here yesterday and I was talking to a lot of cosplayers about kit, costuming and things like that, and LARP has the same sort of, I suppose, stigma attached to it, that there's a lot of elitism when it comes to getting your kit set up and things like that, and it's really, really not the case, because to my right here, you got Max on the end there, whose pirate get-up is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Aaliyah just looks amazing regardless, let's face it. And I've seen Aaliyah in like -10, wearing things that you shouldn't be wearing in -10.
LARP gets really cold sometimes when you're in a field, and one of the nations at Empire, the Grass Coast, wears similar things to Gerudo Link, which I currently am. You should wear more layers. If I could advise new LARPers to buy one thing, it's a good cloak. They keep it forever.
Definitely. I think you lived in my cloak.
Yes.
You had to go off, didn't you? Yeah. But so the kit standards at a lot of LARPs aren't really. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be amazing straight away. So my very first LARP event I turned up to, I wore a pair of black joggers. I wore a Nike polo shirt where I had hacked the logo off, the collars off, stitched it back together. My stitching ability is so on point, I use a stapler. It's so good. So that was my very first kit, and I wore a black long sleeve black top underneath that. That was my very first LARP kit. Sorry, I got distracted by that. My word. It's like a wedding dress. It's insane. So that was my very first kit. So there is no need to be put off by any kit standards or anything like that. And the great thing is that the same with cosplay. Everyone within the hobby really does encourage. They offer to help. They want to help you improve. And you'll find that a lot of people actually have a lot of spare kit as well, that they will just, more often than not, just say, I don't need this anymore, you can have this, and it will fit you perfectly and it will be great. Because I've been LARPing for quite a while. You've been LARPing for a fair while, whack as well, haven't you? And...
About 5 years now.
5 years now? Jesus, was that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, about 5 years for the same
5
thing.
years. So how did you two find it then, when you first came along and getting kit sorted and...
I think a lot of it depends on where you go when you start. Going to Empire, specifically going to the Brass Coast, I managed to source a lot of mine from like charity shops and Indian clothing stores for like bright colours and things that you could layer. I started off with no sewing skill whatsoever. I still have no sewing skill whatsoever, but I've still put together many, many costumes. I think
Stapler.
especially not stapler. Okay, LARP isn't elitist, but I might be. Don't staple your clothing. That's going to be uncomfortable. Please don't do that.
I've got entire kit streams dedicated to using a stapler. It's so bad.
But I think one of the best things, I don't know how it was before Empire, but one of their best policies, in my opinion, is, what's the word? Aspirational kit. So you start, you try your best, and as long as it isn't explicitly modern and wrong, which they tell you there are things that go, don't wear trainers, don't wear snapback hats, then your kit is fine. And you have so much time between events to build up, get little bits, buy stuff at events, at cons, and just make your kit whatever you want it to be. So Yeah, I love Aspiration Layer.
Empire, for reference, is a fairly low fantasy, sort of a bit nicer than Game of Thrones, where we're trying.
It's got plot.
It's got a lot of fun. Where 10 different nations are working together to build a greater empire and change the world. The whole point there is you come along as one of the people who are interested in actually governing. So you can be part of giant decision making that affects empires. You can be a general who directs armies. You can be priests who preach to the leaders of the world. And that's a really, really cool ongoing storyline that anyone can get involved in. There's 3,000 people in a field 4 times a year. But there's other games where you can play different things, you can do different things, you can have one-off experiences where like you will walk in saying, okay, we are prisoners on a transport convict ship moving through space, and suddenly there's alien. Like literally, friends of mine ran a weekend alien Larp with a xenomorph running around, murdering them all one by one.
Oh, that's
In character, obs. So it's all about finding your jam, finding the kind of thing that makes you want to go, I really want to be part of this world. I really want to see what story I can tell and what story I can tell with other people.
But you've also got background characters as well, so people who are, if you struggle with anxiety or anything like this, so you struggle in social situations, you can come along and be in the field with 3,000 people, and you do not have to get involved in everything. You can just be the person who wants to walk around, see what everyone looks like in every single nation, how everyone deals with everything, go to all the in-character bars, of which there are about 12, and they're amazing, all to the big actual wooden tavern that they've got built there as well. So there's loads of stuff that you can do there. You do not have to get involved in plot. You are well within your rights just to turn around and go, nah, I don't want to do that, I want to go and sit over in the corner and just watch everybody do their thing. So you've also got like little skirmishes that go on every 15 minutes. So you can often have a bit of a scrap if you want to as well. Or you've got the main battles that happen once a day. So that's like 500 v 500. So you can do whatever you want at these things, and it's literally you're playing your favourite roleplay game, but you are walking around as your character, and it is a lot of fun to do, and you lose yourself in your characters, you lose yourself in the moment, and I'll stop talking about that sort of thing. Anything to add?
I started my first event basically as a background character. My plan was just to sort of walk around, take it in, and get like that. And sometimes you get things thrust upon you that you're not quite expecting. So I just sort of came across there just a little bit of drinking, a little bit of fighting, and there was a questionable man that sort of approached me at the bar. He was like, I'm looking for a face for my business. And I was like, not quite sure what that means, but I'm new here, so let's see what that is. And then I started selling fake drugs in the game. Yeah, these things just kind of happen.
Yeah, I like. You don't have to be the hero. You don't have to be the villain. You can go and you can run a bar, especially at big fest Larps. You can go and run a bar for the weekend. You can do the economy. You can be a priest. You can be a heretic, but nobody would do that. You could be a criminal. You could be the police force. There are so many options, and you're really not pushed into following any particular route when you start. Like, you can just show up, like this bit, like that bit, change halfway through, pick another character, go on a skirmish and die, and re-roll the character. The world is your oyster, and it's really good.
Definitely. You get out of it what you want to get out of it at the end of the day. No one's there who's going to force you to do anything that you don't want to do. You don't owe people roleplay. You don't owe anyone anything like that. So if you're uncomfortable with the situation, just walk off, go and have a pint, go and have a cake that a couple of hundred people there sell and walk around with and things like that.
For fake money.
Oh yeah, for fake money as well. So I think the other thing that comes around with it all is the Larp Weaponry. So I brought mine with me today. The looks on the train was unreal. It was great. This is probably one of the most expensive outlays in the field, I would say. So it's really, really good quality. It's all foam latex, so you feel it when you get hit, but it doesn't massively hurt if you do get smacked around the face with it. So, but these sorts of things do happen. But when you go to any of the fest LARPs, especially, they've generally got loads of traders and things like that. Every single LARP that I've ever known of has like websites, Facebook groups, Discords, and things like that set up as well to try to help you get set up so you land on your feet and you hit the ground running, essentially. We've got photographers for quite a lot. Does anyone have any questions at all? No, I'll do it, because that means I don't have to answer the question. So,
I have a question for the ladies in the panel. So I've been LARPing for quite a few years, more than I care to mention. And I wanted to ask, here in the UK, how would you advise women or female identifying players to get involved with other players to avoid potential grooming or creeps and LARPs, which we all know are a huge, huge problem?
So this depends very much on the LARP. The first thing I would look for is whether the LARP actually has a statement about it on their website, whether there is an organisational backup for it. There are actually, most of the big LARPs do. Empire, for instance, has a very clear policy of there's no discrimination allowed on the field. If anyone is put in a situation where they feel unsafe, there are crew available. You can always report. These things are taken seriously. There is a conduct team actively prepped and available who are led by 2 non-men who will pay attention. Victims are listened to, players are listened to. As well as that, in the world, we are in a situation where cis men are considered the dominant majority. That's a thing that happens. In game, we've got the capacity to change that. Empire itself is a specifically gender-neutral world. It doesn't consider in character one gender better than another. So anyone bringing that kind of information or bringing that kind of feel in game is automatically cheating. How do we feel safe? How do we assist new players in and out of game feeling safe? Go.
So I think one of the main things I've always looked for when joining a new LARP is looking at the policy and looking at how robust it is, how much thought they've put into it, and what kind of procedures they have when certain things occur, on the assumption that these things will occur and they will have to deal with them. So who can be reported to are crew, volunteers, most of them, expected to deal with certain issues. Do you have a specific conduct person? Do you have a security team? Do you have an expected route of behavior? For specifically helping new players feel comfortable, it's not done as much over here in Fest LARPs, and also in Parlor LARPs and in Nordic LARPs, but workshops where you start, you discuss appropriate behavior, you discuss what is expected, what rules there are regarding distance and touch. So for example, I went to Regenesis, which has calls such as OC, don't touch me, OC, that's mine, OC, please take a step away. These are things that always work, always do not disrupt the scene, and allow you to feel a bit safer and more confident in asserting your boundaries when they are a mechanic, when they are built into the world, and you can do these things to control your space and control your comfort. If that answers your question.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, it had to be sat right in the middle. You know, I'm gonna lean.
Right, now Larp, what is your favourite thing to do? That's for everyone.
Favourite thing to do? Go on, Max.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm very sort of specific to me, I would say, because I quite like film sim, which is quite rules-like LARP. So it's, if you can do it, you can do it, right? You don't expect reactions out of people, but you hope that they'll go along or play along and stuff like that. It's very much those kind of heroic moments of like, okay, I'm gonna have to jump on the grenade, I'm gonna have to charge down the Gatling gun, I'm gonna have to take on this monster so someone else can retreat. Kind of those sort of real sort of cinematic moments I want to sort of call out. So ones you can go back and be like, when you go back to work and be like, guess what I did this weekend? So those are the kind of things that sort of make me go to LARP, and that's what I kind of look for and try to act upon.
I like to cause problems. Things like playing antagonists and the like theory and game theory of playing good antagonists and giving game is that if people want to play the police force, if people want to play inquisitors, they need people to play the other side of that game. To bounce off of, like, everything is collaborative, and I do often have fun being the one to press the button, being the one to have the dramatic opinions that needed to be like shouted down. So yeah, I like that.
You do it very, very well.
I was born for it.
I like emotional moments. I like the bit where you can sit there with someone quietly and they're in character and maybe out of character a bit, afraid of going to do a thing, and you get to talk to each other and change the momentum. You can make someone feel like a hero. You can have moments where you feel like crying. You can have moments where you pretend you're falling in love. You can have moments where your pretend sister is pretend dying in your arms, and it matters because the emotions that we create, the story that is built is something that is genuinely emotional, and just those tiny moments can change everything, and I love that.
I think one of the things that's important to know before you start LARP is that the situation is fake, it's imaginary, but the emotions that you feel are real. Like if you are watching somebody, a character that you may have known for like 5 years, die, there are layers of, you might genuinely cry, you will feel sad, and it's uplifting and cathartic and beautiful sometimes, but it can be a lot and it can be emotionally distressing. Sometimes you need to step back and take a chill moment, but it can get heavy at times. And sometimes that's really, really good.
So I'm going to drag the tone right down. My favourite to do in character is in-character drugs. I've done a lot.
You are my character in character drugs, by the way.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, must have been on drugs when I said that. This is, it's not we're saying drugs like they're a bad thing. In the game, there are bad drugs, but there's also a drug that I love to take, it's called Twilight, and it's a euphoric high. So it's nothing bad, there's nothing negative about it all. It's a great thing to role play out, and it is such a good laugh. I've walked around, I've done an entire tour of the field with my friend Chris. and we made it last for 2 hours, and we got up to some stupid adventures, and it was really, really good. I've done it before, and I pretended to be a chair for half an hour, and it was fantastic, and it was such good fun, because they're giving you
basically like role-playing permission slips. Like, you can act like a damn fool for half an hour.
It's a prompt. They literally give you a card and it says, do this. But it's so broad spectrum, and you act how you want to actually do what you want to do, really. And it is great fun. But I think on the top of that as well, I love to go off and do the big battles as well. And that's it, really for me. There are so many people who love to do, there's politics in the game, there's religion, there's magic, there's everything that in all of these LARPs that you can do. I'm very, very narrow-minded when it comes to a lot of LARPs that I do, because I like to have a scrap. I like to get quite physical in these sorts of things, because it's a great way of works out my mental health, essentially, and it helps me deal with a lot of stuff. And it's fantastic, and you get to interact with a lot of wonderful people, like these three people sat here, and regardless of interactions in game, interactions out of character, just a smile, a hug, how you doing, everything in LARP really does build everything together, and it's also wholesome and friendly. I think I'm not going to say it's one big happy family, because Jesus, I hate that saying, but you make some...
Have you met some families?
Yeah, you make some really good friends there. You get to know some fantastic people, and I can't stress that enough, that everyone is so nice.
And it is so very queer friendly, and a lot, I think the best term I can imagine is, like, it's a safe space to explore gender and presentation and sexuality and play. I have a lot of friends, and even for me, LARP was an exploration to come to realize that I was non-binary, and come to realize that gender and how you express yourself is kind of important, and if you do it in a place that you will be accepted in, and it's just casual and normal and supporting, that it can really do wonders for your mental health.
Definitely. Do we have any other questions? Two questions. The person who raised their hand first.
Going back to the chair situation, essentially, what's the craziest thing that you've ever done or experienced in LARPing?
I'll go last again.
So I was running a bar in Roman times, right? And essentially we had to go around basically rating lewd drawings. So yes, there was an
authentic Roman graffiti.
Yeah. Sorry, it was keeping of the time, but yeah, that was one out of the blue.
I have an idea of what I want to say, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on stage, being recorded. The Geld night, that was pretty stupid.
That was great fun.
I have, on multiple occasions at Empire specifically, there is magic that can, ritual magic that can bring limbs back if somebody's limb gets destroyed. So you can spend in-world resources to heal someone's limb, and you can get people to voluntarily let you cut bits of them off. Sometimes stupid, lewd parts of themselves, and you can do grand rituals to get them back. That was pretty stupid. It's also very fun to convince people to let you do things to their characters. I'm just like, I know this is stupid, but it's not real, so what's your argument?
I mean, technically I once destroyed a planet. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
obviously, we're playing 40k LARP, as you do. And the game for the weekend is congratulations, something's gone wrong in this death world. What are you going to do? And we literally had to spend the weekend building opportunities, collecting all of the troops that had got lost here, there and everywhere, and finally bring it all together in a massive war game of we're going to be sending these here, these there, taking this and this and this, and doing the best we could to pull a fighting retreat, and then calling exterminators right at the end, and just imagining the scene that all of us were part of, building to the point where the Emperor's armies sent in the bomb. And it was just, you know, that's the kind of impact you can have. Those are the stories you can tell. And it's really cool.
In a surprising bridge between destroying a planet and getting super high, I played in the setting Regenesis, where you're all gods within the machine that is creating the next world. Very high concept as games go, and we created this whole idea using the mechanics of the game in a way that hadn't been expected but could work, to essentially create so much dissonance, which was like the negative, world-shattering magic, that we would essentially destroy a whole nation's concept of continued reality and time. Before this, exactly like 10 minutes before this, we were in a rave in character, getting super high, and telling each other how much we loved each other. And within this setting, it was completely legitimate to go from this to destroying a universe.
Excellent.
Did you really pretend to be a chair for half an hour?
Yeah. I was so drunk. I caused a diplomatic incident. I got asked to go on a diplomatic skirmish. So you get non-combative players who aren't able to fight in skirmishes or battles or anything like that. And me and Chris, so McM, our characters, we went on this skirmish, diplomatic skirmish.
I don't think I've ever heard of a LARP diplomatic mission going well.
Yeah, no, this one went really badly. So they had a chat with the orc who they were meant to have a chat with to get this book off of them. It was all, the diplomacy was all done, they were fine. And me and Grim were talking about these other two orcs that just stood there watching us, who turned out were the diplomats as well for this, the Jotun nation. And we thought they were looking at us funny. They weren't. We still killed them. And the other diplomat. And then we got asked never to go on a diplomatic mission again. And the entire Senate, all of the senators, high up, I think even the Empress got involved in discussing what to do with us.
LARP is a world of infinite choice.
We always make bad choices and they're great. So that was a good one. I really enjoyed that. And pretending to be a chair. That's another choice.
Question.
I know, I was about to go. Thank you. Let's mooch.
So this is a question for those of you who participate within Empire Larp. My husband and I are brand new and we've been really attracted towards Dawn. So, my question is, which nation are each of you part of and what attracted you to that nation?
I'll let the Dornish go first.
Oh yeah. So congratulations, 50% of us are Dornish, because it is definitely the best nation.
It is!
They're lying. It's all lies.
In Empire, there's 10 different nations, each with its own flavour, and each with its own style, so everyone has an opportunity to find something that they think is really cool. The Dornish nation are Arthurian knights. They're glorious warriors, they are great lovers, they are the most epic poets, and they are wildly overblown. over-enthusiastic. One of the briefs is wear your heart on your sleeve. Make sure everyone knows what you feel. Make sure that it matters, because you have one life. Live it as gloriously as you possibly can. You'll be reincarnated. And if you're very lucky, you'll be reincarnated back into Dawn. It's an amazing opportunity to both get your drama on and also to dig into a pile of mythic tropes that really, really hit home. So you can play mystic enchantresses, you can play knights in silver armor, you can play heroes and villains, and all of it to a background of everyone else plebbing at a battle. You know?
Gosh, the costume is beautiful.
I like the term plebbing about. I might have to adopt that.
So I chose Dawn for a bit of different reasons. So I originally started Empire and I went into Wintermark because I was like, they're not Vikings, but they're a little bit Viking-y, right? They're not Vikings, but when I took to the fields, it's different from reading the pages than it is to actually play the game. So when you go on there, you get a bit of experience of how the nations play out and stuff like that. So I saw that Dawn just really attracted me. There's a lot of sort of small group loyalty and infighting, but altogether they sort of focus where they need to, and that's what I liked. There's elements of Game of Thrones to it, and the politics, and the backstabbing, and then you do this, you'll get a favour, and oh, you're wearing such and such favour, I'm not talking to you. So that kind of, I guess, bitching kind of pulled me towards that nation. So yeah, it's great.
Plebbery.
So I play in the Brass Coast. I have now for 5 years. Originally, upon reading all of the briefs, I wanted to join the League. And I wanted to almost entirely because of the costume. I loved it, but I also knew that it wasn't something I was going to be able to put together. So I thought about joining the Brass Coast. What attracted me to the coast was absolutely like the idea of just being very upfront in yourself and not backing down and just being free and freeborn. And I think what has kept me in the nation is the very big sense of community, and freeborn don't tend to take things, bad things happen and you move on and you live as much as you can, and it's a very good excuse to just like let yourself loose for a weekend and not really have to stress about things apart from living and whatever that means to
you. I started in Urizen. Yeah, I know, right? I started in Urizen. I was there for about 3 hours.
Urizen is Wizard Nation.
Yes, yeah, Wizard Nation. I didn't get on with them, and thankfully the crew at Empire are so good, because you've got these things called egregores, which are spirit of the nation. They're also revs, and I had a chat with the egregore there, because she just said to me, "You don't look like you're having fun," and I said, "I'm really not." And so all of my friends are back in the Navarre. So I will get around to what nation I'm actually in at some point. And it took about 3 hours, and I was back in the Navarre with all my mates. And then after a few years of playing this character, I got to know Chris quite well, and so Mac and Grim, our characters became synonymous with each other. We essentially became brothers from another mother, and we did everything together. Fought together, drank together, pretended to be chairs together. We did absolutely everything together. So I joined Wintermark, and I'm now Calavasi, so Swamp Witch in Wintermark, but more blood magic, animal totem side of Wintermark. So essentially I like to run around being a berserk sort of thing. A berserk, not a berserk, but a Viking, not a Viking. in Winterbuck. So that's where I am now, and I absolutely love it. But I love all of the nations, and I am determined to play in every single nation there. So I think I'm looking out for Rushka or League next. So, but not an atypical sort where people say I want to be a knight and I want to do this. I want to be a chef. So I'm going to go to the League and be a chef because why not?
My friend Johnny started an entire barbering course for a specific concept at Empire he wanted to play. He wanted to be a Leaguish barber who, like, for this nation, mirrors are magical in a way. If you look into a mirror, you see your true self. So if you're a barber and if you're giving someone a shave in front of a mirror, they are sort of bound to be honest and bound to not lie to you. So he did, and he's now completed a whole barbering course and qualified to be a hairdresser.
It's crazy. But, and any more questions? Luigi. I won't leave you first.
Hello. I just wanted to ask, as somebody like this is all very new. I've heard a lot of things about it, and I've always wanted to get into it, but I know this is going on. How would somebody begin to get into it? Would it just be joining a simple join the Facebook group, or just like
A lot of Larp and the Larp community is Facebook based. The bigger ones and the ones that are more expensive, more blockbuster, and thus have more money will often have websites full of information that you can go and see, but every single one will have a Facebook page.
There's a couple of Facebook groups like Larp Events and similar where you can literally, there'll be events posted, people will advertise what's going on. There's a variety of different places where you can literally say, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for, what would you advise? I'm in this geographical area, what's nearby? Like, I live in Manchester, where can I get to? The big fest events, Empire, Lorien Trust and Curious Pastimes are each of them 4 fests a year, I think, where they'll have a weekend and there'll be somewhere between 500 and 3,000 people on the field, where there's a huge amount of support, there's a huge amount of space for people to find a small place to start and get involved in that. Or there's a load of much smaller stuff going around where it's a case of, I watched Dune last night, what kind of thing can I find that would give me the idea of being in Dune? I love Game of Thrones, what's a Game of Thrones style thing? I love reading Jim Butcher, is there an urban fantasy thing going on? You can find, again, that sort of thing by asking. I know a lot of it is on social media, Facebook is everywhere. So yeah, find a thing that you like and talk to people.
And I think for starting out, assessing what you can do is a big thing. So local LARP, so clubs, often university society centered, way more affordable, often like day events, often parlor LARPs, don't require a great amount of kit, often don't require you to know tons and tons of lore. Fest LARPs, you need to buy camping equipment, you need to more so know stuff, know people. It's more expensive. It's better if you want to be in a big field full of people where you can relax and kind of disappear if you want to. Assessing the scale of what you want and how much money you have.
For what it's worth, London has a LARP froth meet where we go down the pub once a month, out of character, and literally just talk to each other. If that's something that's interesting, there's a website for it. We're going to be at Vinegar Yards 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 3rd of November, which is just down London Bridge. So if you want, come along, give me a shout. I can set you up with the details.
I'd say I may be completely wrong, but from what I know, the biggest local LARP, like university places, London, obviously, Oxford, York, Durham, are sort of the centres of, if you're looking for something in your local area, or if you can drive and go to another city, those are the places to look into for starting out with LARP.
I kind of approached the situation a little bit differently in the past, but I've done it like, I literally came into this hobby with no prior experience or knowledge or anything other than seeing, I think, role models, and I thought, that looks okay. So I think after that I went, LARP near me on Google, okay? And then going through that, I saw basically websites, I found Empire via that, but from that I then go to YouTube and go, Empire LARP, just to see what it's like. And then from there you kind of go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. You can see sort of the people who play, you can find out, I'm going to show you a bit here, Steve, like Discords and stuff like that, but there's communities where you can basically ask any question you want. As what Steve said at the start of this panel, there isn't really any stupid questions, and you'll be treated like it. I guarantee if you think of a question now in your head, someone has asked it before. So yeah, and they're really good resources to help you, guide you, tell you what you need, what you don't need, and stuff like that.
I think the simple thing to do to get involved in it all is, I think it's, when you said UK LARP events on Facebook is a really good one. You can put in UK LARP into Google and it comes up with loads. So the three that were mentioned, you've got iLARP as well, you've got the university-based ones, there are little ones as well, so there's like Rising of Chaos, which is on the south coast, that goes all the way down to Exeter. But there are loads of these all over the country. Join UK LARP events and just ask the question, I'm here, how do I do this? And you'll suddenly find that you're being given 300 times more information than is needed, because everybody loves this hobby and everybody wants to talk about this hobby so much, they will talk. Even when we don't want us to, we still talk. The evenings are very interesting in the field, but the information is all out there. I mean, we'll all be hanging around off to the side of the stage afterwards. So, if you get any questions, you can come up and talk to us. There is no silly question. Are there any more questions on that subject?
Volleyball.
Oh, we got one over there. Oh, I just sat down. I'm not going to sit down anymore.
So, when first joining like Empire LARP, let's say, and you know nothing about any of the lore or anything, what's a good way of like starting to learn the lore and not instantly get slaughtered for like some of the heresy?
So Empire specifically has this phrase. It goes, "Hi, I'm new in Anvil," and what that means is, I'm a new player. Give me a break, which is an amazingly handy thing to have. You can say it in character. Someone says, what do you think about the upcoming Empress election? And you say, I'm new at Empire. And they say, oh cool, let me tell you about this stuff.
I think helpfully, the Empire Weekly, not so much other ones, smaller ones, has you can look at your nation, read that, and you're good. You can take one page, look at what costume you need. If you want to read the whole wiki and memorize it, you can do this. I may have done this.
Don't do that.
Because I'm a nerd who plays the religion game, so there's more sort of to know. But you can absolutely just read your nation page and go in.
Yeah, the I'm new to Anvil thing is a massive thing. I'm moving around because the camera's panning, so I'm going to try to throw them off a bit. But you get the flip side where brand new players have turned up And I walked into the Forge, which is the proper wooden tavern that they've got built there. And I've been stood at the bar chatting to someone about everything that's going on in the field. They're talking to me about magic, which I have no clue about. They're talking to me about all the politics, and they're talking about all this stuff. And they've been in the field for an hour and a half. And it's terrifying because they knew more than I did. And I've been playing since the very beginning. In all fairness, it doesn't take much to know more than I do in game, but it was still there, and it was incredible. But then I've spoken to people and I've said, "Oh, what did you think of this thing that's just happened over there?" And they just looked at me like a deer in headlights, and it's just sort of like, "Oh dear, right, come and sit down. Don't worry. Do you want a beer? Are you okay? Okay, right." And then you just talk about it, have a laugh. That's the big thing as well.
I think the thing that really matters in LARP, any LARP, is to remember that no one's there to catch you out. No one is there to be like, aha, you're a newbie, you don't know stuff, I'm going to win. Because the best possible thing that you can do is have fun with someone. So someone not knowing something is a fantastic opportunity for someone else to be like, I can talk to you. I can teach you, I can share stuff with you, we can build a relationship and do something with that. Not knowing stuff is a fantastic place to start. Everyone loves teaching people.
There's kind of this OC phrase which is thrown around quite often, which is the abstraction layer. It is that basically we are telling a story and there is so much that we don't need to know or talk about to tell this story. Like what kind of food is made in a region, or little things. You're not going to be asked stuff that you don't need to know. And for things under this abstraction layer, it is so acceptable in nearly every LARP to make it up. Stuff, your backstory, opinions about things, what kind of tree is grown in this region. It's under the abstraction layer. If you make it up, no one is going to care.
Another key sort of thing to think about in this as well is when you go to different LARPs, smaller ones are say than Empire, but they do have their sort of new player meet as well. When you go, you usually, most of these have quite a good community, so they can see who newer people are, and you'll usually get event organisers coming up to those newer people, offering to support in any other way they can as well. So if they're like, just to let you know, this has happened in the world, if it's like a sort of smaller scale event, they tend to drop on newer players just so they have context.
ILUP will usually have, because the site where ILUP is in Eversley has two in-character towns. One is piratey in a sort of shacks and taverns and wood, and the other is a Viking village. Usually one of these will be like the base camp for a game, so pirate game is a pirate town, a Viking game is a Viking town, and they will always usually run like a new player intro adventure skirmish. So you're coming into the town, they'll separate all the new people and be like, this is how you get here, this is your excuse for being here. And that's like the support for going into this new world and a new game.
So we've got time for one more question, a last question, and then we're done. I keep on saying I shouldn't get up, but I keep on getting back up.
No one made him be the questions guy.
I made me be the questions guy.
So this isn't necessarily like LARP specific in some ways, but do you guys prefer camping in character or out of character, and what do you find are the pros and cons of each of those?
Okay, for people brand new to LARP in general, in some games, places with sites, you can camp in character, so you have canvas bell tents, and then inside you can dress it all up to be icy and in keeping with the game. Usually you will have all of your OC equipment and you'll dress it up, or there is the option to have a modern tent and modern stuff and be a bit distant. Me personally, I love in-character camping, not because I make my stuff I see, it's my tent is way too messy to do that, but because it lets you be right next to the action and not feel like you're dragged out of your mindset and your immersion every time you want to go back to your tent to practice.
By contrast, I prefer OC camping as much as anything else because it means I can get some distance. I've got friends who camp IC, so I can put some stuff there in the group tent, and it just gives me some space. Once I'm walked out of the gates, I'm outside of the event. I can decompress, and it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if my makeup's smearing. It doesn't matter if my costume's askew. I can just go and sleep, and it's okay. And I'm away, and that's a nice break. And it also means I don't have to worry about keeping my tent tidy. I can have a pile of snacks sitting there, here are my peanuts on the floor where I'm desperate to get some salt and protein. Here is a bottle of water that I really, really need. So it's different. Different people work different ways. It's what works best for you. In the massive fest LARPs, think about what you need more. Is it access to your stuff immediately? Is it space to decompress? Is it immersion? Is it
quiet at night?
Yeah.
See, I might have taken my love for in-character camping a little bit too hard because there's an element of buy-in. So is it sort of saying canvas tents are going to be more expensive than modern tents and stuff like this? But I really hate camping at the best of times, so at the iLarp site I decided to make my own hut, keeping in character, trying
whole house.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a home away from home because I just hate the setup and takedown, so it's there to be used and abused essentially.
Wow, just wow. I prefer in character camping for me, where we have ours set up, so we have a massive 7-meter bell tent set up for our group, and then we have a few other bell tents around it. And we have a gazebo type thing with a fire pit under it. So we have all of that. So we get out of our tent in the morning and we can get a fire going, we can have a nice breakfast, we have a cup of tea, coffee, it's all just there. And then in the evenings you've got the light from the fire, you're warm, you've got your beers, your wine, your mead, whatever's your poison. And at midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, whenever, it's you can just fall back into your tent because it's only 10 feet away from you. So I personally love I love it especially at Empire at 3 o'clock in the morning, around that sort of time when everyone else has gone to bed. For me personally, there is nothing better than sitting by my fire and I chuck another couple of logs on it, I have a beer, and it's quiet, but you've got the stars, there's nothing else going on, it's just you. And sometimes I have stayed up way too late so you can see the sun coming up in the morning as well, and that's bedtime. And it's amazing, it's so quiet, it's so peaceful, and for me that's just another, that can happen OC camping as well, but IC camping all the way for me now. So, anything to add? No? I can see the wind up thing. So this has been LARP 101. Thank you everybody for coming along to watch us, listen to us, put up with us, tolerate us today. It's been fantastic. Thank you for all the questions. We're going to hang around on one side afterwards, so if you've got any more questions you want to talk to us, come say hi. Thank you very much everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'm ready.